Alright, I'll say it. I miss the chairs. They may have forced us to stare at them and wait 5 hours to learn just a part of the Avengers Doomsday cast, but it was nice to finally learn literally anything about one of the most important films Marvel Studios will ever make. And after the last few weeks, those chairs have had me doing a lot of thinking about the Avengers' role in the MCU going forward. It's been a while since we last saw the team properly working together. They haven't been operating in canon since Civil War, which is crazy to think about, and I think their absence is greatly missed. While I don't think the universe is directionless without them, as Marvel is just focusing on multiple overarching narratives at the same time, I think those Avengers films were incredibly important both in universe and in real life for tying together the themes of each phase and revisiting those characters again. Without them, each phase does kinda just casually end because Marvel said so, and we're missing out on some of the interconnectivity that made this universe so special. So now that we're on the cusp of getting something like that again after all these years, I can't stop wondering what the perfect Avengers team composition would be right now. Thankfully, Doomsday is approaching shockingly fast. Seriously, the movie is currently filming when you're watching this. Unless, I guess you're watching this months from now for some reason. What's the future like? Is the United States still a thing? Is everything on fire yet? Sorry, I'm getting distracted. While I don't love the pivot to Robert Downey Jr. as a non-Romani Doctor Doom, I'd be lying if I didn't say how excited I am to finally have the Avengers back together again. Their reassembly will go a long way in making the MCU feel whole again. But here's the thing. With so many new characters introduced over the last 5.5 years, it's really hard to narrow them down and decide who should be part of this group going forward. It's a big decision to make considering that not only do they have to rebuild this team from the ground up, but they're going into arguably their biggest challenge yet as we barrel towards Secret Wars. But the good news is that I've done Marvel's job for them. I've spent the last few weeks rigorously researching to try and find the best candidates for this team. It is so hard to say the word rigorously. We gotta kill whoever invented that word, man. But before we dive into who I think should make the cut, let's talk about who shouldn't. The hardest part of this job is the rejection, so it breaks my heart to say this, but we obviously can't include everyone. So I've narrowed it down to 8 people. That means that big characters like Doctor Strange and Spider-Man aren't gonna make the cut. Now, obviously, they're still gonna play an important role in this movie, I assume. Strange has been the central figure of the multiverse saga and deserves to take center stage, but he's also doing Dark Dimension stuff right now, so I don't think he'll be working with the Avengers to start. Plus, I always saw him as a character who did his own thing, more so as a consultant to the Avengers than an actual member in his own right. He's got a haunted house to maintain. He can't be out here living with the team in a mansion. As for Spider-Man, I don't want him anywhere near being a permanent member of the Avengers for the foreseeable future, maybe ever, honestly. Not only should we be associating him with the Fantastic Four, but after No Way Home's ending, Peter should be afraid to make new attachments. Constantly concerned about reforming any old connections and getting others hurt, he is a loner right now. Being part of the Avengers should represent the life he had to sacrifice and something he's not ready to do yet. And then when he is finally ready to open up, he can do it with the Fantastic Four. Just save all that stuff for later. Don't do it in Doomsday. Also, anyone who's going to be a part of the Thunderbolts or the Young Avengers or the Defenders or the Midnight Suns or the Eternals won't be on this team either. God, I didn't realize how many teams are in the MCU right now, but honestly, I love that. All those people already have a home. I tried to find people who represented different corners of the universe and would bring some interesting dynamics to the table. Let's kick things off with the most obvious character, especially given that I made this video, that being Captain America. Not only is he my favorite character, but he was literally on the thumbnail. You all saw this coming. And besides, are the Avengers really the Avengers without Captain America leading them? That was a rhetorical question. Please stop talking to your TV. After Steve chose him to take over the Shield's legacy, Sam has finally embraced his role as Captain America. So it just makes sense for him to be taking over that leadership position. Now, if I have one big problem with the multiverse saga, it's the fact that we've only seen Captain America 2 times over the last 5 years. For comparison, Steve Rogers appeared in an MCU movie every single year from 2014 to 2019. Honestly, if you count his cameo in The Dark World where Loki takes his appearance, Chris Evans appeared in an MCU film every single year from 2011 to 2019. There was not a single year where he didn't appear as Captain America during his tenure with the MCU. Meanwhile, Anthony Mackie only gets 2 appearances with the Shield. A blind man could see the difference there. And I completely understand that they're juggling a ton of new characters in this phase, but I simply think they should have let me see my little Birdman more than 2 times, and especially in projects so far apart. I would have even taken a character just mentioning mentioning his name. For someone who should be presented as one of the faces of the MCU going forward, Marvel hasn't done the best job presenting him as such. This movie needs to change that and establish just how important Sam is to this universe. And I think Brave New World did a great job setting him up to take over this role as the leader of the Avengers. So just carry that over into Doomsday as Sam deals with the pressure of being in charge of an entire superhero team made up of some of the most powerful people in the universe as just a regular man. This is going to be the first time he's actually been put in a position where he's calling the shots with other superheroes. There were some little moments in Civil War when he was giving the team orders, but that was more so just him helping out. Especially after Brave New World where the Falcon got hurt on his watch. That kind of pressure is going to weigh on a guy, and it's going to be really interesting to see for his character development. It's now time for him to prove himself as a leader, and it is sink or swim. Or fly, I guess? I need them to heavily focus on how out of place Sam would feel on a team with actual gods. Ooh, foreshadowing. As just a guy in a bird costume. The fact that he's an everyman who understands common struggles is part of his charm. There is a beautiful moment in Jed McKay's ongoing Avengers run where Sam is able to save the day just by talking to a guy. It's that kind of grounded nature and caring perspective that this movie needs to highlight in contrast to the rest of these characters. It makes him so special as he stands apart from any other hero on the team and even in the universe. Because when you put that all into perspective and you're standing shoulder to shoulder with people who could crush cities without breaking a sweat, that's gotta take some kind of toll on you. The insecurity that he's not good enough would be a great motivator as he takes his rightful place as team leader, proving that being an Avenger isn't about how strong you are, but about how much fight you have in you. Sam put it best when he said, "The only power I have is that I believe we can do better." As long as he's able to fight and show how smart of a tactical strategist he is, he will make for the perfect leader for this team. And with Chris Evans all but officially confirmed to return in this film, I think it's more important than ever to put Sam front and center on the Avengers. They can't let Chris overshadow Anthony and put all the attention right back on him. The torch has already been passed. He can't take it back. I don't care if he's literally a human torch. It belongs to Sam Wilson now. I'm still holding out delusional levels of hope that Chris Evans is back as a Hydra Supreme variant of Steve Rogers, and if we do get to see something like that, it makes Sam being the leader even more impactful. He's in this position to step up and stop his former friend in a way that nobody else could. It is a no-brainer to explore that kind of dynamic and how it would change things. And then even if he is just playing Steve again, that means they really need to lock in on showing Sam's growth and not regressing his character at all to taking orders from Steve. It should be the utmost priority to put Sam Wilson as the leader of the Avengers from here on out. Also, Brave New World confirmed that Joaquin Torres will also be on the team, so he gets to join it as well. I love his mentoring relationship with Sam so much, so I'm very glad that we're going to see more of that and how Joaquin would operate in a team setting. As long as he meets Ant-Man and Doomsday at one point, I will be happy. They need to pay off that joke from Brave New World and continue showing how much Sam just does not care for Scott at all. Also, sorry to Joaquin, but that's all I have to say for him right now. I wrote this script before Brave New World confirmed he'd be on the team, so I'm at least making sure that my favorite Miami King gets a shout out. And a quick side note, but I want Sam to be the one going around and assembling this team. After the last Avengers lineup was basically decided by S.H.I.E.L.D., I want this team to be independent and act on their own accord. Brave New World had Sam realize that the world needs a symbol like the Avengers actively out there saving people, so let him go around and get this team together in a fun montage to start the movie. I don't want to jump into the action and they're already a team. Let me see these relationships form from the start. Starting with his new neighbor down in New Orleans, none other than our Captain Marvel herself, Carol Danvers. She was in the thumbnail. You shouldn't be surprised about that one. It doesn't matter if they didn't give her a chair for some reason. I'm making sure she gets in my modern day dream team. Especially given that Carol is, in my opinion, one of the big three of the MCU right now. With her, Captain America, and Spider-Man. At least that's who it should be. Now before I say this next statement, I need you to know, I love Avengers Endgame. It is a movie near and dear to my heart and the best possible version of that film, beautifully wrapping up 11 years of storytelling in the most satisfying way. But I really wish that we could have gotten more Captain Marvel in it. That first act of the film showed so much potential with her working alongside the Avengers and teasing all the chemistry she had with the cast. Whether it be her dynamic with Thor or that sense of confidence she brought to them at their lowest point, there was a ton of potential to see her working alongside a team. When it comes to Doomsday, they need to finally let us see Carol as a fully fledged member of the Avengers. She can actually get to know her fellow teammates and we can see these power dynamics play out in some very very interesting ways. The Marvels, a genuinely great movie by the way, I don't care what anyone says, put her in the perfect position heading into Doomsday. That film was all about the idea of Carol opening herself up to work with others. At the start of the film, she wanted nothing to do with being part of a team, but by the end of that movie, she was actually upset that they weren't bound together anymore. Carol has finally realized that she no longer has to put the weight of the world on her shoulders all alone and is actually open to accepting help. With her willingly joining a team like the Avengers, she'll be able to open herself up to making friends and letting people into her life again. It's a crucial step in her journey and exactly the kind of thing they need to lean into here. You could even approach it from the angle of Carol learning not to be so steadfast in her actions since she isn't used to working with others as she learns to take orders from Sam. It's no longer just Carol steering the ship. She has to navigate things alongside Sam and make decisions as a team. And come on, it's very fitting for two captains to co-lead this group. If you really want to expand the Avengers going forward, I think it'd be cool if you had an Earth-based team and a space-based team and Carol was the leader of the cosmic side while Sam was handling things on an earthly level. And I know for some reason they didn't say her name on that big chair stream, but it's clear as day to me that she's going to play a big role in Doomsday due to the fact that her current goal right now is to travel the multiverse and bring Monica back home, so she may as well join a team that can help her out with this challenge. Personally, I don't think we can ever have enough Captain Marvel, so I welcome her to this team. But now that we've gotten the ones you already know out of the way, let's talk about some true fresh blood for the Avengers. Shang-Chi, better known by his superhero name Shang-Chi, is arguably Marvel's most successful new character introduced post-Endgame. They took a D-list superhero who hardly anyone knew and turned him into a household name with a fantastic film that expanded the MCU in bold new ways. That movie, which by the way, was in development since 2001, could you imagine if he was part of MCU Phase 1? We would have gotten a completely different movie. Oh my god, we could have had so much more Morris in our lives. But to get back to my main point, that movie ended with the promise of Shang-Chi stepping into a larger world of heroes as Wong recruited him alongside Bruce Banner and Carol Danvers. And since then, he has not been seen or mentioned anywhere. Legend has it he's still in that bar performing karaoke. But we really need to get him involved with the Avengers now, as it is a very natural stepping point for his journey. I know the Kang Dynasty would have had him play a huge role, with the 10 rings being crucial in Kang's plan, and it's still not too late to do that, by the way, Marvel. You can still turn things around, I won't be mad at you. But I just hope that Doomsday finds a way to tie the rings into the story as well. Just have him be some MacGuffin Doom is after to open the multiverse, and bam, it's the easiest way to get Shang-Chi involved in the film. Then once he realizes he's in over his head, he contacts Carol and the team comes to his aid. Even if he didn't get her number because she just lied about that, which is an objectively very funny power move, but I'm sure he can find a way to get in contact with her. Shang-Chi's arc in this movie should be all about his adjustment to becoming a fully fledged superhero. In his own film, he was just standing on business and fighting his family, some pretty low stakes stuff, but a great entry point into the universe for him. That being said, he still doesn't have the experience saving people and being an active day-to-day superhero. This guy was a valet, and then in the span of 1 week, he had ancient power in the form of some sick jewelry. Now he's going to be thrown into the deep end fighting a multiversal variant of Doctor Doom, who for some reason looks like the most popular person to ever exist on his Earth. Quite the jump in scale, and they really need to lean into that. Let's see him get overwhelmed by it all and show his adjustment to the big leagues. Being on a team can help him get used to working at this level as we watch his growth into a real superhero. It would set him up well for the future and go a long way in showing casual audiences just how cool he can be. My one demand is that I need the Russos to lock in. They cannot be slacking on his fight scenes. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings has the best action in the entire MCU, and they need to keep that standard up here. Just bring back whoever did the choreography on Captain America the Winter Soldier, and everything will be fine. Maybe we can even see Shang-Chi teach his teammates a thing or two about how to fight. That could be a really fun dynamic to play around with. But his primary purpose in this movie needs to be an important lesson on how to be a superhero. Up next is one of the most important characters in the MCU, Shuri, the Black Panther. Wakanda Forever was a beautifully touching tribute to Chadwick Boseman, which I think did a fantastic job at both handling his legacy and the character of T'Challa. They handled the recast in a respectful way by introducing his son, all while passing on the mantle to Shuri. It also completely redefined her character as she went from the fun genius to the grief-stricken and traumatized hero. Completely on her own without any immediate family by her side, she has changed a lot since the last she interacted with the Avengers. No more quoting vines for her, just vengeance. She wants nothing to do with Wakanda and is trying to find her place in this world. It certainly isn't as a queen, but perhaps it's as an Avenger. Shockingly, Black Panther has not been an official member of the Avengers yet in the MCU, so I think we really need to rectify that here. Sam already has a working relationship with the Wakandans since they made his suit, and he's clearly going to be in need of another one, so I imagine that he'd be able to get her on board. This would be a very significant moment for Shuri, as I think her arc in this film should be all about learning to feel comfortable opening up to others again. While she may have made peace with with the trauma of losing T'Challa and her mother, she's still gonna have a hard time opening up to people again. Everyone she's cared about died, the world continues to take people away from her, but here she's been given an opportunity. The Avengers can help her process this grief as she meets people who have been through the things she has and give her a shoulder to cry on. Sam lost his wingman, Carol lost her best friend, Shang-Chi lost his dad. They can all support her and be there for her when she clearly needs it. We can watch Shuri grow into her position as the new Black Panther, getting out there in the world and continuing T'Challa's mission of spreading Wakanda's resources. Not only opening herself up to the Avengers, but opening up Wakanda to the rest of the world. It's a great way to develop her character and show what makes her unique as her own Black Panther, starting to resemble her old, joyful self again, but now much more matured and ready to take on the world. Also, it'll definitely help the team to have the smartest person on the planet alongside them, and with Tony gone, they could really use someone to repair and upgrade all their gear. She would be a fantastic asset to the team. They need her just as much as she needs them. And you know what? With all these new heroes stepping up to become full-time members of the Avengers, I think it's important that we have at least one of the original 6 characters on board. Considering that 2 of them are dead, 1 of them is retired, another's on the moon, we aren't exactly spoiled for choice. That being said, I really want Thor on this team. With his MCU future up in the air after Love and Thunder, to put it nicely, happened, an appearance in an Avengers film just makes sense. And he was that first chair after all. They must have done that for a reason. He can drop Love off at some Asgardian daycare and clock in for work because they could really use a heavy hitter like him right now. It also helps that Marcus and McFeely wrote the most consistent version of Thor and could really help steer the ship and give him new direction in the MCU going forward. While Ragnarok played an important role in fixing Thor's personality, the Avengers films gave him new purpose and motivation. They showed Thor at his lowest and proved that they understood this character and how to ground the god in real human emotions. With Thor now seemingly content for once in his life, I'd be really interested to see what they can do with him this time around. Outside of any serious behind-the-scenes reasoning, Thor should be an Avengers mainstay for as long as Hemsworth is willing to play him. And for someone who's practically immortal, I love the idea of Thor sticking around through every version of the team. He could be their constant anchor and someone who shows all the new recruits what it means to be an Avenger. And while Thor may have been a core member of the original 6, I'd say he was also kind of distant from the rest of the team. In the Avengers, he comes in at the halfway point and isn't too interested in being part of a team, and then he just leaves by the end of the movie. Then in Age of Ultron, he takes a magic space bath that gives him a very bad acid trip and has to go set up Infinity War, and most of those scenes were cut anyways, so he's gone for a decent chunk of that movie. Then he spends Infinity War with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Endgame drinking away his sorrows, so I need him to be the Avenger in Doomsday. Now that he's found his sense of self again, it's time for Thor to really step things up and embrace being part of this team. Let's see him get excited about being a mentor and passing on everything he's learned over the thousands of years he's been alive. We all know Thor needs new direction after Love and Thunder leaned way too heavily into the comedy, so I think mellowing him out into this mentor figure would be a fun new direction for the character. It's a good spot for him to be at this point in the MCU, as he can make the most of his experience and finally find himself a new family after all of his other ones died. Alright, how about we change things up and do 2 characters at once, because up next is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Please, just do me a favor and pretend like Quantumania didn't happen for a second. Close your eyes and remember all the fun times we had with Scott and Hope. These are 2 characters who were founding members of the Avengers in the comics. It may have been Janet, but the Wasp was the person who came up with the name Avengers in the first place. I understand Marvel went with the more grounded version of the team to kick things off, which admittedly was the right decision, but now I need Ant-Man and the Wasp to take their rightful spots on the team. They are pivotal members of the group and deserve to be treated as such going forward. It's so weird to think that Ant-Man was never associated with this group until Endgame, and then they immediately all went their separate ways after. It's a stretch to even call him an official member of the Avengers in canon. Thankfully, now is the perfect time for both of them to take charge and become the core Avengers they were always meant to be. If there's one thing from Quantumania that I actually thought was a really good idea, it's the fact that Hope created the Pim Van Dyne Foundation. It's really cool to see her use this groundbreaking technology for good as she looks to create affordable housing and solve things like world hunger. It's the kind of thing people always wonder why these superheroes aren't doing, especially with powers as crazy as that. So I think it's a great direction to take her character in and build on as a member of this new Avengers team. Admittedly, it's kinda hard to do with Evangeline Lilly kind of retiring from acting, so let's just replace her with someone like Zooey Deschanel. She was originally going to play her in the first place, and I think that is some great casting. But what matters here and now is that Scott and Hope are filthy rich celebrities, which finally explains how they can afford a house in San Francisco, but I think they should be the ones funding the Avengers Avengers now that Stark's money is run dry. They're gonna need to get funds one way or another, and this is such an easy way to do it. It'll also tie thematically into Scott's arc of not looking the other way when something bad is happening, as he actively funds and runs the Avengers. It's a nice full circle moment for him as he goes from criminal to full-time responsible superhero. And it's not like we can follow up on that character arc they set up at the end of Quantumania where he's paranoid about Kang because they had to change direction. But I don't know, maybe you can carry over that paranoia in a way and he can think that Doctor Doom's arrival is his fault and that Kang would have been able to stop him. Or something better, I don't know, just actually resolve that cliffhanger, please. And also, if it's possible, can we please remind everyone that Scott Lang has a master's degree in electrical engineering? He can be a silly little guy all he wants, but please let him show his skills too. Use this movie as an opportunity to show just how far Ant-Man and the Wasp have come as they take over and help reestablish the Avengers as global heroes once again. That brings us to our final member of the team, Jennifer Walters, attorney at law and resident She-Hulk. Before any of you start your arguments in the comments, I cannot stress enough that you can't stop me from including her. I love Jen's character, and that genuinely really good show only made me want to see more of her. And I'm sure many of you are wondering why I didn't choose the He-Hulk for this, and there's a very good reason for that. I didn't want two Hulks on the team, so I chose the one who would bring some new life to the group, but also, I think they need to start doing something with Bruce's character arc to set the stage for, hopefully, a World War Hulk film. It's a little redundant of what happened in Infinity War, but just establish in this movie that he's having some problems with Hulk after staying smart for so long and keep him out of the action. Stress just how afraid Bruce is of what will happen the next time he turns into the Hulk and build that tension up throughout the entire movie until he has to become the Hulk in a big dramatic moment. Or honestly, you can just have Bruce go completely missing. Or maybe in a complete dream world, the next Avengers film we get could be a World War Hulk film and we can have the Hulk as the villain. I pitched that a while ago and they are still welcome to take that idea. Alright, is that answer good enough for you? I hope so, because I already made the video. I can't change this and I don't want to. Let's refocus back on Jennifer though, as I think she would be a great addition to this team. Not only does she add some more muscle, but it is the most necessary step for her character development. And also, with a movie budget, they would have more than enough money to finish her model this time, which is huge. But by the end of her series, Jen had just made peace with the idea of being a superhero in general, determined to try and make this double life thing work, and the most interesting way to take that story is to throw her into the deep end. Immediately starting out with this universe-threatening event, she would have to step up and become the hero she knows people need, no matter how much it goes against her instincts to be a lawyer. It can start to put some stress on her double life as she spends more time as She-Hulk than in the courtroom, which can be explored in the second season that I am manifesting so hard because you promised it to me. Please, Kevin, I am so desperate for more She-Hulk. Give me season 2 before I steal that hat off your head. Jen is a character who's never been in a team before, so I think this would be a fun first experience to see her interacting with so many other characters. Also, you're lying if you don't think it would be hilarious for her to do fourth wall breaks around other characters just to see how they would react. If you are blinded by hatred of the She-Hulk show, first of all, how have you made it to this point in the video? But secondly, just keep an open mind because there is so much exciting potential for this character in the future of the MCU. I think she would make for a fantastic new member of the Avengers as they explore this character more as a hero. She would be very useful for the team, give us some great dynamics, and add a whole new level of depth to her character. It would be so stupid not to include her. And also, the world could always use more Tatiana Maslany. And there we have it. All 9 people who I think need to be core members of the Avengers going forward in the MCU. Obviously, there's still some room for growth and changing things around, as I think you can use a revolving door of characters on this team, but I'm very confident in saying that these heroes deserve their spot on the Avengers. Hopefully in the MCU going forward, we can get some more Avengers films with lower stakes, because I really think all of them could become as iconic as the original 6 given more time to get invested in their dynamics. There is a great amount of variety between the powers, backgrounds, and personalities that would give us a really fresh Avengers team. It's the biggest missed opportunity of the multiverse saga to not have any active Avengers. I want to see new blood take over and let audiences fall in love with them like we all did with the original team back in 2012, which I'm now realizing was 13 years ago and is going to send me into an existential crisis. Oh god. But Marvel is in a very unique spot right now where they have to assemble a new group, and I hope that they can do that right. It's the perfect opportunity for them to develop these characters even further in new contexts, and I think with a team like this, you can do just that. Or we could just get some more chairs in here. Just make the whole movie about chairs. You know, maybe that's the direction we go. Let's pivot again. Move away from our Doomsday, and let's get some chairs as the villains. Call it Chairvengers Broomsday, and watch the box office explode. But who do you want to see in the Avengers going forward? I would genuinely love to hear what everyone has to say and continue the conversation down below. And while you're at it, you may as well give the video a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. If you do it, then you can be an official member of the Avengers in Doomsday. I'll re-edit this video and everything to put you in there, but you have to subscribe now.